Ambassador David Friedman ended his time as ambassador as he began it by praying at the Western Wall.
Ambassador David Friedman.
Friedman feels work accomplished over the past 4 years will help the incoming Biden administration get off to a good start.
Normally, people come into office and the Middle East is all ablaze, and that becomes a challenge. I think that's not the case here. I think we've left the Middle East in a good place. I would urge real caution in changing any of the dynamic. It ain't broke, so don't fix it.
That includes potentially renewing the Iranian nuclear deal. The Trump administration ended the 2015 agreement known as the JCPOA that had been struck by the Obama administration.
Are you concerned about the fact that the Biden administration has already said that they want to renegotiate or re-enter the Iranian nuclear deal?
Boy, going back to 2015 would just be an enormous mistake, and it could threaten all the advances that we've made in the region. There really is no rational basis to return to the JCPOA. You know, one of the arguments that kept coming up then in favor of the JCPOA was, if we let Iran back into the community of nations, they will self-modulate, they will self-correct. 5 years later, we know the truth. We know that they didn't self-correct. The idea that we would make a deal with Iran that would give them a path to a bomb is, frankly, insanity.
Friedman also believes such a move could threaten the Abraham Accords, an achievement that took many by surprise, but not Friedman.
The seeds of these relationships have been there for years. They were there under the Obama administration as well. They were there. They needed some water, they needed some fertilizer, they needed some real engagement. But we knew from the beginning that we were onto something.
Ambassador Friedman pointed out what set the Trump administration apart.
What I think I'm most proud of is that our administration really extended to Israel not just the courtesy, but the right to self-determination, to really decide for themselves how to govern. And I hope that courtesy continues to be extended, because that's where I think we really made a difference.
That set the stage for historic moves, such as the United States recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, declaring Jerusalem as Israel's capital, and moving the U.S. Embassy there.
I think the most significant event of the 4 years was moving the embassy to Jerusalem. I think so much came from that. You know, I think when we moved the embassy, when we recognized Jerusalem, I think it just opened up enormous possibilities for the U.S.-Israel relationship, and I think it put America really on the right track.
Friedman also helped change the U.S. approach to Israel's biblical heartland and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
What we did was very much in the best interests of the United States, not just the best interests of Israel. And I think the proof is in the fact that after we moved the embassy and after we recognized sovereignty over the Golan Heights and after we did all the other things that we did, not only was there not an explosion of violence, but there was an explosion of peace. We were able to achieve, once-in-a-generation agreements with Bahrain and the Emirates, Sudan, Morocco, Kosovo, all Muslim countries.
As ambassador, one Bible story inspired Friedman. He kept this painting of the story of the sin of the 10 spies who went into the Promised Land.
The one sin I don't want to commit is the sin of the spies, the sin of not having enough faith or confidence or vision in the relationship between Israel and the United States and the importance of keeping that as strong as possible.
While the new administration hasn't announced a replacement, many experts on both sides agree Ambassador Friedman will be a tough act to follow. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the U.S. Embassy, Jerusalem.